So I've been doing raku for about maybe 6 years, and I started out up at the Hambidge Center. They have a You Do Raku session at one of their festivals where you can buy a pot and paint it.
Oh, look at that gorgeous thing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Every material has characteristics that make it interesting. Wood is highly diverse. There's probably 56,000 different species of wood, and each has different properties. The hickory that we used yesterday when we split the log, very resilient to shock. Wood shrinks, so you have to sort of figure out that aspect of wood, and that it's hygroscopic and it's constantly absorbing water or releasing water, and it's moving. So the log yesterday, I split it in half.
Oh my gosh, beautiful. Woohoo! Sasha, go get it.
Nice.
You thinking about that? Hey, you write that one down, I'll write this one down, all right?
Sasha, go get a stick.
Because if you just work with a fully rounded log, it shrinks more in one direction than the other and will always crack. Metals like steel has an interesting property in that when it's heated, this normally hard, very strong piece of metal becomes very fluid and flexible. You could heat it red hot and bend it.
Oh, that's excellent.
Some of the resins that I work with are interesting in that they allow you to build very thin paper-like shells that are extremely strong. When I was a kid, we had a Chris Craft factory in our town that made boats, and they would use a lot of mahogany, and my father would go down and get scrap mahogany, which was really not scrap, but on an industrial scale it was nice. I always had nice woods. He had a little workshop with some tools, and my grandfather was a carpenter, and he had a lot of tools that I still use, that I cherish, just in that they've been passed down for several generations. I just started carving with some of the scrap wood that we had around and really enjoyed it. I was always interested in nature, and I spent many days of my childhood roaming fields and woods. So I'm sort of open to almost channeling whatever materials come into my life, or I seek out, or they seek me. I'm working on a kind of a personal piece. These are skulls that I've collected over a lifetime of hiking in the woods and finding skulls, bones, and animals that have died. And I'm constructing a 10-foot tower out of all these using epoxy resin and glass cloth. These are all deer rib bones that I've collected over the years. These were all vertebrates, and it starts out with very small porcupines and goes to foxes and coyotes and bobcats and deer, and then eventually these are a couple bear vertebrae. This is what I call a cat head base. It's a hollow log that had this wonderful resonance, and I capped it with 2 blue cat heads. So it's a cool cat base. It's just 2 notes: high note, high bass, and the low drone.
Have you ever played it with other people?
Mm-hmm. And I've hooked it up to my amplifier too. I've got a condenser mic that I stick in there and
Oh, man.
hook it up to my Fender reverb amp. These are all stones that I've collected over the years, mainly in Maine, mostly granites. of various sorts. They wash up on the beach, and it's just fascinating how nature can, over time, take jagged rocks that were volcanic and just roll them into such gentle forms. It's just a real beauty, and you can just imagine those waves over time just rocking this stone and rounding those corners. There's a sensitivity that you develop over years of working with materials that you know and understand exactly what they're going to do. I'm still learning this clay world, which is somewhat new to me. I look a lot at oceanic art, Eskimo art, Native American art, not so much influenced by what's going on in the contemporary art world. But there's certain pieces that are almost timeless or classic. I've been looking a lot at Greek pottery lately and just what masters the Greeks were with being able to do a narrative scene on a pot and the perfection of the line and balance and the rhythm that was created throughout the pot. So I get bored with maybe sometimes you understand the materials too much and you need to branch out or experiment or combine them with other materials. So it's not just about the material, it's more of the material as a support for what's going on with the idea. I remember as a child just walking in the woods, and these were all new environments, and just that whole curiosity and that wonder, and try to tap back into that childlike sense of wonder and that newness of different materials, and not being afraid to experiment. There's almost a thrill that comes to me when I make a piece, and occasionally I'll just really nail a piece and it's like, oh my God. You almost get a buzz or a high from that creativity aspect. So this is the finished piece of the chestnut tree that I found up in the Chattahoochee National Forest. It was a magnificent tree that I discovered while hiking up on tall mountaintop, probably killed in the chestnut blight, which struck the South in the 1920s and 30s, but started in New York. I've never really been concerned about selling pieces or the art market, and almost see that as a detriment. I have sold pieces if I needed a new tool, like a new table saw or a new bandsaw. I would occasionally sell a piece, and but that's not my driving force to make money. Or it can be a trap too, that if you start selling pieces in a certain form, then everyone, if it's successful, wants that, and then I think it would be very boring to do the same thing over and over again. And I've been criticized too that I'm all over the place doing different things, but when you see the work all together in a body, it does have some sort of thread going through it. I was fortunate in many years that I could teach and always had some sort of an income stream, modest as it was, but enough to live on. And then I have a wonderful studio space at Habersham Mills in Demarest, Georgia. That's an old cotton mill, so I have 30,000 square feet. A lot of the sculptures that I hung on to over the years are able to be displayed, so I'm hoping to create an area where people can just come and enjoy seeing a big body of work. I've been doing these pots that are slightly asymmetrical, slightly off balance, but they have a sense of the hand. It's not like they were thrown on a wheel and perfectly rounded. They have a little bit of Catawampus to them. So at this point, the weight of the clay is pulling down on itself, and I won't be able to work this too much more. So I'll let this set up for a day, refine the shape a little bit more. It'll still be plastic for about 3 days, and I'll gradually refine this. I make a lot of these tools out of different kinds of wood. These are made out of Osage orange, which is native to the Mississippi Valley. It's very dense hardwood, very strong, flexible. This paddle is made out of walnut, which is one of my favorite woods. It's got a natural oil in it, so when you carve it, it almost burnishes the wood if you have a really sharp gouge.
The hand is the cutting edge of the mind. Civilization is not a collection of finished artifacts. It is the elaboration of processes. In the end, the march of man is the refinement of the hand in action.